Good Devach, everybody. So I'll tell you, Maisa, there was once a Yid that came crying to Rameir of Primajlan. He was known to be a big Baal Maifis, a big tzaddik. So the Yid comes to Rameir, and Rameir opens the door and he says, Rav Yid, what's the problem? So he says, Rabbi, I have a big problem. He says, what's the problem? He said, the Paritz of the town, this Paritz owned a lot of the major businesses that were functioning, that were operating in this particular shtetl that this Yid was from, and the surrounding shtetlach as well. And so the Yid says to Rameir, he says that this part, one of his businesses is a milk factory, a dairy factory. So there's cows that milk comes from them, and they're packaged and so on, and they're shipped out from the factory to all the surrounding shtetlach. And I was hired by the parts years ago to manage this factory. And so it was a great parnas. It was very good. I was settled. I was able to live b'menucha, yishur das. It was fine. All of a sudden, I get a notice last week from the Paritz that I have 60 days, and after 60 days, I'm out of a job. And not only that, there's no other parnasa to get, and I'm going to have to, how am I going to pay? How am I going to pay rent? I'm going to pay my mortgage. My whole life is going to be turned upside down. And why am I losing my job? Only because the Paritz has a cousin who's another guy who has money anyway. He's the cousin of a Paritz, but he wants to, have something else to do with his time. So he also wants to be the manager. He wants to be the manager of this company. So I'm being out of a job because of the Paritz's cousin. Even though the Paritz's cousin doesn't need as much as me, and I'm not doing anything wrong with my job. He's going to fire me for really no reason. So Rabbi, I need a maifis. What am I supposed to do? I need a maifis. So it happens to be when this Yid came to Rameir, it was Erev Shabbos. So Rameir said to the Yid, he said, okay, what's your plan for this Shabbos? Where are you going to be? So he said, Rebbe, by this point, I don't have time to go back to my shtetl. So my plan was to be here for Shabbos. I made arrangements to stay by someone in the neighborhood, so I'm going to be here for Shabbos. So Rameir said, okay, Gavaldik, come to the Tish Friday night. Okay, so he comes to the Tish Friday night. And so the minig by Rameir Primajlan was that he was very involved in setting up the Tish. Friday night Tish, he was very much involved. He set up the food, he set up the table, the Zmiris that were sung, he would specifically, decide what Zemer to sing and who would start it. He was very much involved in taking care of everything Friday night. Okay, that was understood. But that Friday night, something unique happens. Usually one of the Zmiris that they would sing Friday night is Kol Makadesh Shavi. It's a famous one of the Zmiris, Kol Makadesh Shavi. So usually every Friday night, Rameir would be the one in charge of what Zmiris to sing, but Kol Makadesh Shavi was a standard one, and he would give it to a particular person. They wouldn't start singing until Rameir gave the cue, but usually that's what would happen. This Friday night, Rameir changes the minig, and we're going to sing Kol Makadesh Shavi, but the Rebbe himself is going to have a solo. He's going to sing the niggin himself. Okay, fine. Rebbe Shemaisa, that's what he does. So he begins to say the song. I'm not going to pain you by listening to me singing, but the words of the opening line, Kol Makadesh Shavi Karoilai, anyone that sanctifies the seventh day, that keeps Shabbos the way it's supposed to be, Scharai Harbe Ma'id, has an unbelievable reward, Al Pi Palai, because of what he's done, because of his actions. Right? In other words, because he kept Shabbos, he has a great reward. Ish al machaneu v'ish al diglai. Each Yid, no matter where they are, whatever camp they're in, whatever degel, whatever flag they're under, whatever a Jew lives, if they keep Shabbos, they get unbelievable reward because of their actions. That's the opening line of the song. So Rameir is singing that niggin, but he says this is the TYH. Kol Makadesh Shvi Karoilai. Anyone that keeps Shabbos the way it's supposed to be, Scharai Harbe Ma'ai, he has a lot of reward. And what is his reward? Al Pi Palai, that anything that happens in the world is decided by him. Al Pi Palai, based on his actions. So he gets to decide what's going to happen in the world because he kept Shabbos. So said Rameir to the Chassidim, he said, no, he called himself by the third person. He says, does the Olam think that Meir will keep Shabbos? So all the Chassidim say, of course the Rameir will keep Shabbos. So of course the Rebbe keeps Shabbos. So Rameir says, so it's paskin by the Chassidim that Meir is Shomer Shabbos, and if Meir is Shomer Shabbos, it means he gets the reward. And what's his reward? Al Pi Palai, that everything happens according to his actions, according to his decisions. And what is Merel's decision? Ish al machaneu v'ish al digloi, that he should be able to stay in his camp, to stay in his by his flag. Everything should stay the same. He shouldn't have to look for new jobs or look for new places to live. That was what happened. Okay, so none of the Chassidim don't have any idea what he's talking about. The Yid that was there, that came to the Rebbe Friday afternoon, he chaps what the message was, so he's all b'menucha. Comes Shabbos morning, so this Yid continues on, he's staying in this town. And so he's enjoying his Shabbos. The Rebbe himself, Meir Primishlan, that Shabbos morning, repeated over, even though Kol Makad Shavi is a Friday night niggin, he did it again with the same shtickle Torah, the same explanation, Shabbos day. Comes Motzei Shabbos, this Yid gets a knock in his door. And what's the knock? So these are officers of the Paritz from his town saying that you have to come immediately to the Paritz. He's a little nervous, what's going on? He said the Paritz has been looking for you all Shabbos. And he found out that you weren't here for Shabbos, you were in Primishlan, so he sent us immediately to go find you, and we found you have to come with us back. So he's all nervous, what's going on? So he goes back to the Paritz, and he sees the Paritz is mamish in bed, lying, mamish dying. So what's going on? He said, the Paritz says to him, listen, I can't explain what's going on, but this is what happened. Friday night, I'm walking, I'm taking, going in my wagon, whatever it is, I'm having a good time Friday night, and all of a sudden, like at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, whatever it is, I'm amish, like this sickness, this heaviness comes over me. I can't walk. I can barely breathe. I'm amish falling apart. And no one has any explanation of why. The doctors, no one knows why. While I'm sitting there and the doctors are examining me, a thought comes into my head. And once this thought is in my head, I cannot think of anything else. The thought is, it's because I threatened your job. And because I threatened your job, that's why this sickness is coming to me. And listen, Jew, I don't like Jews that much, but there's something going on over here that I cannot explain any other way. And so my instincts are telling me that it's because I threatened your job. And so therefore, please forgive me. You're going to have your job. Not only that, I'm going to give you a bonus, and we'll write a contract. You'll be guaranteed to have this job, as long as you want it, and everything will be fine. Just please, take this, take the sickness away. So he's thinking to himself, it wasn't me, it was the Rebbe Rameir from Primishlan. But he goes along with it. He said, 100%, we'll sign the contract, and with that, I'll take the sickness away. And so they sign the contract, and immediately the Paritz is cured, and he's able to go on. That's the Maisa from Meir Primishlan. There's a lot of things that you can learn from the Maisa, but one thing that came to me is an interesting thing. Why does Rameir Primishlan, why did he have to ask everyone, am I Shomer Shabbos? Is Rameir Shomer Shabbos? And they had to say yes. And then, now he's able to have the kayach of being able to, al pi poloi, to be poil this Indian, that the Yid should be able to stay in his camp. Rameir is Shomer Shabbos anyway. What does he need everyone to agree to him? So, you see from that. And it's something that we find in the Svarim. Rav Tzadik talks about this in a number of places. We talk about the Bezdin Shomayla, right? The court in heaven that they define a person, Rosh Tzadik. Rav Tzadik HaKohen V'Lbin wrote that who is the Bezdin Shomayla is not some other place, it's not some Bezdin with Malachim and Neshamis. It's us. Based on how we define another person, that's the Bezdin, that's what it means, Bezdin for that Jew. So if we define another person and we think of him negatively, chas v'shalom. But if you think of him positively, that itself means that Bezdin Shomayla paskening also positively. Rameir Primishlan had to have a psak from Bezdin Shomayla that he's Shomer Shabbos. How do you get Bezdin to paskin? By having Yidden paskin that you're Shomer Shabbos. By having Yidden think of you in a positive way, that already is piled the fact that even in Shemaim, they paskin like you positively. And that's the avodah. We have to think of each other in a positive way, judge each other favorably, judge ourselves favorably. And with that, like Rabbi Nachman says, we'll actually be brought to a place of schus and to a place of being favored by the Rebbeinu Shalom. Hashem shall bless us with a week of Nechama, a week of Yeshua's, of Ish al Machaneu, Ish al Digloi, a week of Yeshua Das, Menuchas HaNefesh, the Bias called Tzadik, Meher V'Yimeinu, Amen.